Rolling. I just wanted to check in with you guys. I've got over 1,000 miles on this bike now. Probably had it for 6 months, maybe longer, maybe like 8 months. But I just wanted to kind of check in with you guys and tell you my thoughts. Do I still like it? I usually put about 2,000 miles on most bikes that I own, or at least most of my daily drivers. I'll usually get around 2,000 miles out of them, so we're at half life here. But yeah, Scor 4060 ST. Man, this thing is far surpassed all my expectations. Also, first and foremost, shout out to Jason and Thomas over at Bauerhaus Bikes. That's where I bought this baby and all the bits and doodads on it. And yeah, this bike's been killer. So if you guys have any questions that I can't answer about this bike, feel free to get in touch with Bauerhaus Bikes. They know everything about these bikes, and they've been pumping them like crazy and have had a lot of success and a lot of people giving super positive feedbacks on this bike. So I just kind of want to share with you guys my take on this bike now for kind of having a longer term impression on it. And I have been able to mess with some of the settings, different shocks, different head angles, all that stuff. So we'll go ahead and get right into that. I originally bought this bike. It had the RockShox Pike and 150 travel air shock in the rear, just the older version RockShox. So if you do buy this bike now, it does come with the Lyric how I spec'd it, because the new RockShox stuff is no longer, the Pike tops out at 140. So if you do a 150 travel bike, it's always going to be a Lyric from now on in terms of RockShox. So yes, the new GX Scor 4060 ST does come with a 150 Lyric, exactly how mine's spec'd, even though mine's a last year's model. Other than that, nothing's changed on the bike. You just get the upgraded suspension from last year's. I want to back up here. One of the reasons why this is such a killer bike and such a versatile bike is because you can go like super weight weenie and kind of have a long-legged XC bike if you want. By keeping that last gen Pike on there, lightweight air shock in the back, and throw some lightweight wheels on it. I've got the Bird Hawk 27s. Those wheels have been killer so far. I just got back from Bellingham and I smashed the crap out of these things, and they're straight as an arrow, not one single issue. But yeah, you can really go super weight weenie. I know Thomas has got his. God, I want to say he's got his down to like 27 pounds with pedals. Maybe he might have even gotten it to 26. So, if you go super weight weenie, you can definitely make this thing XC-ish with some long legs on there with that extra travel. So the head angle, originally, this was 65.5 in the steep mode with a Pike. I believe the axle to crown on the Lyric is slightly longer, so that's going to make this thing a little bit closer to 65 flat. I did end up flipping the cups into slack mode, so that's going to put this thing on the website from last year saying 64.5. But if the Lyric is indeed got a longer axle crown, it's probably going to put it closer to 64. So 64 degrees on a 140, 150 bike, that's pretty slack. And I'm unsure if I like the slack mode more in Boise, but going to Bellingham, it was a must. Like, I probably would have been hating life if I kept it in steep mode, because that stuff's just way steeper than anything that we have here. So undecided here on if I'm going to keep the cups in slack mode, but I like it so far. So I'm going to continue to roll with that until further notice. I did get the RockShox Super Deluxe coil. This is the new one with the HBO hydraulic bottom out. I did start with a lighter spring. I'm 150 pounds. I started with a 350 spring, and it was a little bit mushy, and I added a bunch of compression and some HBO, felt really good. Ended up going to a 400 spring and backed all the compression off. I'm running it wide open and it feels amazing. It pedals as good or better than the air shock. It doesn't have the air shock like snappy lightweight feel to it, because you can definitely feel that extra pound down there when you're trying to accelerate. But honestly, the coil rides so much better. It's so hard for me to go back to air. I mean, even so, I even got I even got the new Super Deluxe Air. Um, and I did try this thing out. This thing feels really good, and it's got the hydraulic bottom out, as you can see right here. It does feel really good with this shock, but it just doesn't have that supple off the top feel that I'm really starting to love from this coil. So I just think the bike rides so much better with the coil. Gives you a little bit more confidence inspiring feel once you're going downhill. And yeah, I've been really blown away. I've changed a lot of parts on this bike. The one thing I haven't really changed other than just trying this guy, the suspension. I went to this new RockShox stuff and it's just been game over. So I like that little bit stiffer spring, still pedals real nice, but it's a coil, so it's still got that, you know, small bump sensitivity that I'm starting to like. I am running the XX SRAM transmission. I think I said that right. Blown away again. I hate to be I'm trying to find something, or I want to tell you guys something I don't like about the bike yet, but the transmission, 100% in love. I've had a love-hate with the old Axis. Honestly, I was not a fan of the old Axis at all. I tried to like it. It's nice. It definitely shifts crisp and sharply and whatever, but this is in a league of its own. Far superior in my opinion. I've got another video on that. We're not going to get too into that. I did go to an Axis post just because I did want to clean up that cockpit a little bit. I don't know. I'm just super OCD, and having one cable on one side and not one on the other, kind of, I don't know. I'm weird. Got the Ergon SM Enduro Pro saddle, titanium. Love that saddle. So bird wheels. I'm super impressed with these wheels. The Hawk 27, if you don't know, is made by wheels made by We Are One, and I did get the Talon hubs. It's basically a DT 240-ish. I upgraded to the 54 engagement. Feels and sounds like a 240 to me. But it's marked as Talon, kind of probably going with the bird theme. The bird spoke has a hook on this one. Like a loop, and it just hooks onto the hub, and just like a hook, and boom, done. I mean, all these spokes are still super tight. And I mean, I rode some stuff that was way out of my league up in Bellingham, and these things handled it like a champ. They were better than I was. Brakes, I was running the Magura MT7s, the HC3s. Love those brakes. Probably my favorite brake so far. Until now, maybe. TRP, I am trying these TRP DHR Evos out to see if I like them compared to my Maguras. And I need a couple more rides, but I really like these. I like this longer lever. Feels a little bit more moto. I've been kind of getting back into motorcycles, as some of you can tell, and it's got a little bit more of a moto feel to them. So I do like that. That longer lever gives you a little bit more leverage. And I really like Shimano brakes, but I don't like that wandering bite point. These feel like a Shimano better. It's kind of got a little bit more modulation than an XT. Gobs of power, probably as much or more than an XT, XTR. So far, loving those brakes. I am running, so the one thing I will say quickly about those brakes, I will say these stock pads that come with them, they're the resin pads. It's the blue-backed one. Not a fan. These like make a bunch of weird noises. Couldn't get them to bed in well. I ended up picking up some MTX. These are the golds for e-bike, and they feel really good. I got the golds on the front, and then I'm trying a TRP centered on the back. Just trying them both instead of buying two sets of each. If I like one better than the other, I'll just stick with that. But honestly, the centered in the back and the gold MTX in the front is working out super killer right now. So, I mean, there is gobs of power. I do like that thicker rotor, that 2.3 rotor. Hopefully that will keep the rotor trued up a little bit better. Because I've had some trouble with 203s having a lot of wobble in them. For whatever reason, I don't know, but every rotor I've bought in the last year has had just nasty ticks in them, and maybe this thicker rotor will solve that issue. So we'll see. But Yeah, even out of the box, I've been having issues with rotors lately, but yeah, I don't want to touch the brakes right now because they're working great. Also, ask a guy, aggressor, you already know. Um, Bars, I went back to an aluminum handlebar. This is a Deity bridge line, I think. I don't remember off the top of my head. 25 mil rise, 770 cut. Love the Axis pod right here. Deity grips, the Lockjaws killer grips. So, other than that, I've just been loving this bike. And I think for me, it comes down to I'm a one bike type of guy. I did have that Yeti Arc. I did sell it just because I didn't like having a bunch of money in this bike and just not wanting to ride it because that Arc is so fun to ride, like kind of in the lower foothills. But so is this thing. This thing climbs as good or better than any bike in the category, in my opinion, that I've rode. Even better than some with a little bit less travel. And that's just to a testament to BMC and Scor putting a package together that's I've always just been a fan of like buying one bike that does everything the best it possibly can. I don't like having a bike that's really good at one thing and sucks at another thing. That's just not my personality. Other people might disagree with me. And I just like being on the same bike all the time, no matter what I'm riding. I don't like changing and swapping and flipping, changing stuff.
Right.
Other than like trying out new things, but I'll always go back to my one setup, and that's what I like about this. 140, 150, I got it in the slack mode. I can go ride this bike pretty much anywhere I want. I did some stuff in Bellingham that was way out of my comfort zone, and you know, the bike was still better than I was. I was the issue. The bike wasn't the issue. I kind of they took us on some pretty rad hush hush trails that were just killer, unbelievable, mind-blowing bucket list type of stuff, but holy crap, it was steep. And this thing did great. And then everything else we rode, Galbraith and Tiger, we did Predator. This bike was perfect as is. And I can take it back here, I can go hit the foothills, and I can climb all day on it and feel great. And that's why I love this bike so much. I've had like the Hightower before, and that bike's just not as enticing bike to want to ride all day. And whoops, I didn't want to ride it all day climbing as much as I do this bike. And the only thing that I've rode that comes close in terms of just like all around capability and like still wanting to climb is the SB130. I haven't rode the SB140 yet, and I would love to, but that's the only other bike that I like as much in this category. And I still I would give the nod to this bike because, and obviously take that with a grain of salt because it is my bike. I own it. I ride it every day. And I haven't put much time on a 130, but that would be the only other bike. And I do like bikes that do have the shock down low. I just like the way those bikes handle more. They have a little bit lighter, flickier feel to them when the weight is down low like this, as opposed to like being off the top tube. I've just never been a fan of that. I had a stump jumper that had that off the top tube, and it just doesn't have that same feel as like that Santa Cruz does. When it's going downhill, I love the Santa Cruz. I actually probably like the Hightower just a touch more going downhill than this bike. But all around, I think this one smokes it. Just in terms of feel. So yeah, I'm super impressed with this thing, and I can't wait to get another 1,000 miles on it. This bike has far surpassed my expectations. My only gripe with this bike was I was just super unsure about buying it because I didn't really know much about the brand, and the way I flip bikes all the time, it was a little bit scary going like, God, what if I really don't like this bike and then I can't sell it? So that remains to be seen, the resale value. So I don't know, hopefully, you know, I think Scor's in it to win it. I think they came out swinging hot with this first iteration of this bike, and I can only imagine what they're going to do from here. And I guarantee I will have one when they come out with another one. So, hey, thanks for tuning in today. And as always, appreciate you guys, and stay tuned. I got some more drum videos. I got some more stuff on the bike. I'm heading to Salt Lake in a couple weeks to do a track day on my Yamaha R7. So I'm going to GoPro that, do some videos. That's going to be super fun. And then I'm going to keep riding this beautiful, minty, fresh Scor 4060 ST. Peace.